board members, Ms. Benavides, Ms. Morales, Mr. Garza, and district staff. The time is 6 p.m. on this fifth day of December 2023, and I call the board workshop of the United Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. The following board members are in attendance.
Frank Castillo.
Javier Montemayor.
Michelle Molina.
Yes, I would like to note for the record really quickly, Mrs. Oliveros is out today with a medical family emergency dealing with her mother-in-law, so she just asked that she be excused from this meeting for the record.
Thank you.
Let the record show that this workshop has been duly called and notice this workshop has been posted in accordance to the Texas Open Meetings Act. Agenda item number 2, Pledge of Allegiance to the United States.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Comments. Do we have any public comments?
Yes, Mrs. Molina, we do have 2 public comments today. First, we have Mrs. Leticia Juarez regarding STAR scores and CSP 022-2032. Just for the record, people do have 3 minutes to speak on an item.
Before we get going, I just wanted to make a real quick comment. I want to congratulate our United High School Longhorns for an outstanding season. I'm wearing orange today. Go Horns.
Good evening, Ms. Juarez. Welcome.
Good evening. Can you all hear me? Yes? Okay. Good evening. For the record, my name is Leti Juarez. The 2023 STAR score results, which will be presented by URSD, are based on a point system. Therefore, the percentages for masters, meets, and approaches will never add up to 100. So the worksheet that I gave you, and I hope all of you have the worksheet, actually is something that how the teachers break down the STAR scores. At the bottom of the worksheet, if you notice, I have where broken down by grade level, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, and I got...
Is this what you're talking about?
Yes, sir. I'm so sorry. Yes. And these were, I got this information from TEA, Texas Assessment Analytical Report data. And so my concern is that even though we seem to look good when we compare ourselves from districts or regions or state, for teachers' point of view, we still are lacking. Our kids are still lacking. If you look at the STAR scores for 3rd grade, to get a 56, 51% could not get a 56 of our kids in 3rd, and 4th, 48, and 5th, 43, and 6th, 57, and 6th, 62, and in 8th, 44%. 8th grade is the lowest percentage only because they're able to use a calculator. You know, that's the truth. Now, there's a lot of good things at the district, but we also need to work on those things, and I just want you to see that information, not in another way that the state presents it, because teachers need that additional help. The special ed department, the bilingual, the counseling, the 504, and the federal and state programs should be working with teachers closely on a daily basis. And data should show that. I think that if that were to be done, really work with the teachers and helping us with the children, we should be more successful in what we are. We pay a lot of money for us to be where we are. I hope that if you look at this, you can come up with reasons or ways to improve these scores. I don't think it's a curriculum. I think Ms. Lessa does a good job, Ms. Monsiváis, Ms. Rodriguez. It's not that, it's just that it's just too many kids per teacher. Just too many. If you're in middle school and you have 140 kids, 50% are failing, that's 70. How am I supposed to work with 70 kids? You can't bring them to tutorials, that's way too many kids. So we need pull-out programs, we need more aids to help us. Unless you're satisfied with these scores. I'm not. As a taxpayer that we pay so much money, I'm not. Additionally, in the agenda there is a CSP for close to 17 million, which was awarded to Leyendecker. It is very disappointing, in my opinion, that contractors in San Antonio or the Valley seem not to work
3
with
minutes.
UIUC. That's it?
I will allow you to finish.
Okay. There was a GPM in 2016 for Alexander, which basically seems to be almost the same identical items. It was part of the 2013 bond referendum for only $6,816,852. Now we're at 17 million. That's almost 3 times more. That's a lot of money. And frankly, I don't know why we're in a rush to do this. Just because we have the bond proceeds does not mean we have to spend the money. Your job as board members is to be effective and efficient with our funds. Additionally, we even have to ask General Fund to help us because it's not enough just from the proceeds from the bond. So hopefully you board members have a lot of questions and you've analyzed this CSP and have a lot of questions for the construction department. And honestly, I just hope it's not, I know some South, we have some people running next year. I just hope that's not a political ploy. That would be so sad to hear that.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Ms.
much.
Next, we have Victor Vasquez on CSP 022-2023.
Welcome, Mr. Vasquez.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing tonight? I'm talking about the same target because it is a lot of money. And like she said, it's true. One of those buildings was built in 2016, and it was cost $6,816, and it was a new art building and a new agricultural science building. So in this case, it's almost if you look, well, you're gonna see they have the presentation for tonight. You don't take my word for it, you're just gonna see it. Actually, doesn't say what they're paying for each item they're gonna build. They're gonna move obstacle course. Doesn't say how much it's gonna be. They're building another marching pad next to one they built years ago. We pay for that one $1.2 million. They built that one and one in LBJ. And that's a lot of money when you see years ago in 2011, when they built the road that goes the Bulldog Road right there in Alexander, is more close to a mile. It was $1.2 million. So when you build 2 pads and it costs almost the same, it's kind of like it's concerned about how much money we give into Linebacker. And I know you're gonna say we promoted. I know you say he went through the process, but sometimes the process is too short to people from the outside come in and make a bet. So besides we know he's not gonna build it, probably he's gonna subcontract somebody else to do it. So pay attention because I think we're losing a lot of money. And not from now. I can go back to 2005 when one elementary school would cost only $7 million. The same school, the same design, was built after 2013. It cost us $70 million. Who came with the price? Who added $10 more million to the price? Is ridiculous. Now you're building something, it's less than the school, and it's $17 million. $17 million. Thank you.
No further public comments, Ms. Molina.
Thank you. Agenda item number 4, informational items. A, 2023 STAR Performance Comparison Report.
Good evening, Mr. Castillo, Mr. Montemayor, and Ms. Molina, and our administrators in charge. For the record, Cristina Cabello, Executive Director for Instructional Accountability. What you have here before you are our 2023 STAR scores, and it's a comparison with the state and the region. I do want to give you, I do want you to know that this year is unique. The manual wasn't finalized till Halloween of this year, extremely late. A change here from what was presented or what we had than what was publicized in the manual is that TELPAS is rated on 2 of 4 domains. Again, that will be only for the 2023 school year. This is a plus for our campuses to show that the students showed growth in the English language. The TELPAS cut points were adjusted, especially for elementary school. Our closing the gaps, domain 3, have been adjusted. And I do want you to know that final ratings will not come out till February, we're hoping. As you know, many districts in the state of Texas are in a lawsuit with TEA and our commissioner. So they will not hear, the trial will begin in February. So again, any ratings that I know some of you, your campuses, you've spoken to them, they will not be final. We are hoping till February, if that, okay? So looking at our scores at approaches, meets, and masters for all students compared to the state and the region, UISD is doing extremely well, okay? As you can note there in bold for every single subject. In the masters for our social studies, we are falling 3% points short, but we are still up there with the state and the region. Looking at our economically disadvantaged, as you can see, UISD is outscoring the region and the state. We are tied in the masters for our social studies. Looking at our special education subgroup and our emergent bilingual, for the most part, UISD is doing extremely well, outscoring the region and the state in approaches, meets, and masters. And looking at our emergent bilingual students, we do have some work to do, but for the most part, we're doing extremely well. We are right there with the state and the region, so we are extremely proud of these scores. Our group here, our high focus group, this is a brand new group for the 2023 school year. This group encompasses the special education students, emergent bilingual, our homeless, our migrant. And here again, UISD is doing extremely well compared to the state and the region. And I do feel that it is because of our scope and sequence, our teachers have our high quality instructional materials there at their fingertips. They can also always supplement our scope and sequence, but I think it's that we have something in place that our teachers, and based on our scores, it reflects how well we are doing. Any questions? Give me a call if you have any questions, please. Okay.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Agenda item number 3, budget calendar 2024-2025.
Good evening, Ms. Molina, Mr. Montemaro, and Mr. Castillo. The Division of Finance is presenting you the budget calendar that we're going to go through to get us through to 2024-2025 fiscal year. This time of the year, the first thing we start to do are student projections. We've already met with the attendance department. They are on task with it. They're starting to look at their numbers. They usually have them ready by mid to late January, and that starts the process of what we would consider the expenditure side of the budget. We start allocating certain pupil dollar amounts based on their projections, and we start sending them to the campuses. We've kind of always taken the approach when it comes to the departments to give them the same allocation that they've had the prior year. So we send out all the allocations. We start doing that around February to March, and then we start having mini workshops with them. They have questions, they call us, they have special needs, they get in touch with us. So all through probably January, February, March, we're working on the expenditure side of the budget process. Then we start getting into probably around mid-April, we start talking with the Webb County Appraisal District because they have a deadline to give us their preliminary values by April the 30th. So here we start shifting focus and we start working on the revenue side. So we're pretty much at this point have expenditures down to at least a draft number that we can work with, and now we start working on building those revenue numbers. That takes us into May and June when we start having now in-depth meetings with you all, with the departments again, with management, with special needs that we may have for 24-25, anything that the board wants us to address at that point. And then we start moving into middle of June, late July. Now the revenue numbers really start to kick in. We start talking about tax rates based off the certified values that were given to us by the Webb County Appraisal District. We present you with a very solid draft budget. By this time, usually in the past, we've talked about compensation and the other big ticket items like benefits, specifically health insurance, and we'll have all those numbers presented to you by that time. Then we start getting into August where all the formalities start to kick in. Usually mainly dealing with the deadlines with the state. We have to post in the paper 10 days before to announce a public hearing of the actual budget. That we usually time it with the regularly scheduled budget meeting. At that point, you all adopt the budget. The very next day, we post it on the web, and then we all just kind of sit tight for a week or two and wait for September 1st and start using the 24-25 allocations. As we get a couple of more months into this, we'll bring you another budget update where we are, what we've done. One of the most important things that we do is in March, and that's the staffing. We meet with HR, management team, administrators in charge, several people from CNI and the campuses, and we start looking at the needs. But everything begins with the student projections.
Any questions?
In regards to the projections, do we have right now a total enrollment that you can share with us? So right now?
The enrollment that we have right now is what we're working with live as we talk right now. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head.
Do you have a number?
We're about 215 students short of what we projected. It's 41,383, I think it was.
Yeah, I think we're at about 41,120 or so.
It's the 215 students that were short.
Do you have any idea when you want to start doing budget workshops with the board? Only because of,
What we do is, since we try to get the campuses ahead of us because they're the ones with the biggest needs, and that's the main goal. So the board comes in after probably around, late May, June. For sure, June and July, we're meeting with you as best that we can and whenever y'all are available. But it's really the May, June, July, and August, for sure we're meeting with the board at that time. You all want to meet earlier?
Two major areas that I'd like to kind of
Yes, sir.
just throw it out there, put it on the table right now. Staffing, the ratios and all that, I'm not sure that really is working right now.
Okay.
So that's one issue. Then certainly, any budget cuts and any budget reductions, looking at our administrative, your administrative levels and different campus and facility expenditures and where we can save and where we can try to adjust and because if we don't get any more money, then we're going to have.
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, we have a really good list of what we always cut when we get into a situation where we need to cut. We've exercised it twice since I've been involved with the budget over the last 30 years. And so we have a good starting point. So we can share that with you all in a Friday packet to get you going and show you that we do have some big ticket items that will give us a percentage savings. But as you add up all these different percentage savings, you sometimes get to a significant amount of savings. Nothing promises it very early, but we have experience where we do need to cut some. When we have to cut things, we have a list that we go to and we keep it there in our active files.
In order to have projections, the reason I'm asking about student enrollment is, do we have a period, let's say this month in December, that we use as the projected, how to project in the future?
No.
What numbers do we use?
Well, this is the approach that the planning department takes. So the last Friday of October, they call it the snapshot date. And that's like everybody, all the school districts in the state of Texas send their enrollment numbers and student information to TEA based on, everybody sends the same type of data. So we get that data and we call it a rollover. You just move the kids up to the next grade level. But then you start, you do the approach of, okay, where are we seeing growth? Okay, maybe we do need to add more kids than just the kids they have right there. So that's why we kind of wait till the snapshot date. We have
which already passed.
Yeah, it already passed, but then we really start verifying addresses of the kids that are in our system. They call it geocoding. I think the census data type thing. And so we have about, right now, I think they're cleaning up about 80 students who live in ranchitos that don't have addresses. So we're getting a clean file. So here we are in December, then staff will start doing that rollover of the grades, and then we'll start looking at those areas around town that we feel are growing. So by mid-January, late January, we hope to have at least our first draft of projected enrollments.
And for the record, Mr. Castillo, as of December 1st, our enrollment was 41,168, which was roughly about 215 short of our projected enrollment.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Quickly, for the record, Mr. Aguilar is now present, and we do have a quorum. This meeting has been posted in accordance with the Open Meetings Act.
We will begin sharing with you all more detailed dates. We're early in the process, so it's just by month. And once we get closer, especially when we come back after the break, we start getting these preliminary projections. We'll start nailing down, like staffing will tell you it's going to be March 18th, March 20th. We'll start meeting with the schools and we'll let you know. I'll be communicating with you guys obviously in the Friday packet, since we only meet once or twice a month. It's probably faster and easier to meet with you on the Friday packets.
Perfect, yeah, so we can get ahead of the curve of,
Yes, ma'am.
trying to get some
Most definitely,
more
yes, ma'am.
information. I know this year getting those workshops was very tight, very, very tight, but I appreciate your support.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Agenda item number 5, the following items are to be reviewed by members of the board with recommendations for action to be made at the next regular board meeting. A, monthly disbursements.
Good evening, Ms. Molina, Mr. Montemayor, Mr. Castillo, Mr. Aguilar. For the record, my name is Rosa Cabello, Director of Accounting, and we present to you the disbursement report for the month of November. Do you all have any questions in regards to the report?
Any questions? Not at this time.
Thank you. Excuse me.
B, property tax refund for the month of November 2023.
Good evening, board members, administrators in charge, members of the audience. I bring to you the property tax refunds for the month of November. We have a total of 2 and a total refunds of $1,860.51. These accounts have been paid in full. There's no loss of revenue to the district. Do you have any questions?
Any questions?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. C, awarding bids, proposals, qualifications, and extensions.
Good evening, Ms. Molina, Mr. Montemayor, Mr. Castillo, Mr. Aguilar, administrators in charge, legal counsel, and ladies and gentlemen. For the record, my name is Karina Mendoza. I am the purchasing manager, and I bring to you the following RFP for your consideration and approval. RFP 054-2023, Demographic Services for Student Enrollment Forecasting, Housing Analysis, and Capacity Analysis to Sonda Education in an estimated annual amount of $65,000 even. We also have 3 renewals for your consideration. Do you have any questions?
I did have a question regarding the Sonda Education. That is something new that we're doing this year, or is it done every year?
No, it's not an annual contract. It's a once every 10-year contract. The last time we actually did an official demographic enrollment analysis was before the 2013 bond program, which was more than 10 years ago. I think this will give us the opportunity to really look at those areas in our district that we see a lot of housing going up, a lot of permits being issued, and see how far out do we think, there's going to be families there, there's going to be school-age children in those houses, and that's the type of data we hope to gather from this study. The capacity analysis, that's to look at our current schools to see how well we're utilizing classrooms. And of course, again, this firm will bring a report to the board. We've been told it'll take about 4 to 5 months. So maybe April, May, we'll have a report for the board.
So the term of the contract would be for?
And it's just for 1 year, yes.
1 year or 4 months?
Well, it's for, I'm sorry, it's a one-time. We expect the scope of work to happen within a 4 to 5 month period and bring the board an official report.
At the completion of the scope of work, we would have met our obligation with the contract.
Thank you.
This was an RFP.
It was an RFP, yes, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Mendoza.
Thank you.
Item D, CSP 022-2023, United South High School additions and renovations.
Good evening again. We're bringing to you, administration is recommending approval of CSP 022-2023 United South High School additions and renovations in the amount of $16,988,000 even, which includes a contingency allowance of $1,105,000 even to Lion Decker Construction of Texas. Do you have any questions? I do want to mention one thing, that after my presentation, there's going to be an in-depth presentation by our architect of record, which is Mr. Hollis, who is going to be describing the project. Do you have any questions for procurement?
Not this time.
Good evening, trustees Castillo, Montemayor, Molina, and Aguilar. Glad to be here to present this project that we're very proud of. I do want to make some recognition that on our team here we have Venera Magaloni, who's right there. She was our project manager. Also, I don't think they're here tonight, but JHS Architects is also our partners in this project. So without further ado, we'll run through this update on our project. This is the essential project scope. Now, the core of the project was to provide equitable facilities to what was designed at Alexander High School. So the very first two items on this list here for new performing arts facility and new ag center are the core of the real core of the project. The ag center includes a greenhouse and animal pens in a complex. And then there are items that were, because of the siting, which I'll go into, the master planning, that had to be added to the project, which I'll explain the purpose of that. Okay. So this is an overall site view. So the area here that's outlined in red dashes is the actual construction site of the project. We are going to be placing the Performing Arts building in the ag center. As you can see, there's other elements on the site. So in the master planning process, you know, this is a very tight site with very little free open space on it. This was the one location really where there was open space that could be utilized. But there were challenges with this. We already have the obstacle course. We also have parking. We have, which was the drill pad area over here. And some other facilities. In addition, there's drainage that runs from the residential area across the site into this space. But because of all of the playing fields are located where the flat ground is, this was the site that's available for us to use. In doing so, the expenses of having to move these other items has to be incurred. And so the addition also, this is not a flat area. It is a very steep part of the site, and that does cause additional costs to the project that had to be dealt with. And I'll explain how that was done. Okay, so this is a look at the overall master plan. As you can see, the items in blue here are the main structures. This is the Performing Arts. This is the Agricultural Science Center. These two items here are the animal pens and the greenhouse. And so in addition to that, we had to develop loops off of the main bus loop. Number one, because you have trailers for the band. You also have trailers that service the animal pens that have to be accommodated in servicing both of these buildings. So that creates this area and the side area that we were showing in the other aerial. Now in yellow, these are relocated items. So this is the location of the new obstacle course, which was desired to be retained in discussions with the school and the district. And this is, right here is also not a building, but it is the new drill pad for the JROTC. The advantage of these, it really is, this is the JROTC building right there. And so now we've put them into almost a JROTC complex. So the students can go in and out very easily to access the outdoor activities. And we've developed, because there was none before, a wide connection, sidewalk connection that you'll see to the existing marching pad for the band that will now come from our existing Performing Arts Center. The other thing, and I'll show this also, is that this site is is particularly available because we can make a very good connection to the existing school with a crosswalk at that location. The complexity of the site and having to move all of those things out of the way to create a building area for the project is shown here. We have to, and you'll see in terms of the overall timing construction period, which is extended, we have to do this in a phased process. So as the project moves forward, anticipating the beginning of February, it'll be about 6 months to relocate the obstacle course and to relocate parking and also to create a new marching pad area drill pad area for the JROTC. So that's phase 1 in blue. The other thing about the site, unfortunately, is that there's utilities crossing the site that have to be dealt with. There's an existing AEP easement that crosses the site. So it's not just the things above ground, it's underground. So the easement has to be relocated. We have new transformers that will be reset in this location. And so that has to be part of the phase 1 work also. So once you get all of this stuff out of the way, you can then proceed and start early work on the main reason for the project, which is the performing arts and the Ag Science Center. The yellow is a place we want to make sure that the construction traffic is separated from traffic for parents and buses and students crossing back and forth the bus loop. So there's a separate designated construction entry for that, and that's this yellow area. So in terms of site improvements, talked about some of this. We are adding with both facilities sidewalk benches for students to be able to gather and have places to socialize around the buildings. We have additional parking at the new facilities, the white sidewalk I've talked about, and then we talked about the new JROTC facilities also being put together. And the other thing you'll see is that there is actually going to be room, as you can see on this diagram, for future expansion. So once we build these, there's still, as the programs grow, there's ways to add additional music halls to the end of the performing arts and additional shop and classroom space to the Ag Science Center. But this is just in more detail. You can see the parking right here, which you'll see more as we zoom in. That is where the band trailer will be kept in a secure fenced area. The band trailer, of course, is used to, as you let the band travels, to carry equipment and such from one location to wherever they're going to be doing performances. So this is sort of an overview of that, and then the new obstacle course fits. Now the one thing about the obstacle course is it fits, it's going to be pretty much exactly the same in terms of the stations that are there. It is a U.S. Marine Corps compliant standard obstacle course. From the time of the original construction to now, those standards have changed. And so the Marine Corps within itself has become more concerned about safety of those courses. If you go out there right now, what do you have? You have dirt, right, underneath the climbing ropes and the tall bars. So this is designed with softball surfaces under all of these. The idea is to mitigate the chances for students, and I understand even Border Patrol and such use this facility, to mitigate the possibility of injury utilizing that. So it's going to be first probably the signature facility in terms of the whole district, and I would fair to say anywhere in this general region in terms of that you'll see different agencies actually wanting to use this beyond JROTC as it gets developed. Okay. So the building itself, the building itself is very similar in respects to what was at Alexander. So it's an equitable facility, but a lot has been learned from the use of Alexander. Also, in talking to the folks here at United South with their program. So there have been upgrades and modifications to this. This is just listing some of the spaces. As you can see here, this plan is very similar to what's at Alexander in terms of the main band halls. We now have a designated mariachi practice space in here, which is something that wasn't really in the original project over there at Alexander. But we've got essentially the same areas. However, what you're not seeing here are upgrades in technology that have happened since then in terms of outfitting the building to service the teaching methods that are current. Also, we have enlarged the entry areas to allow more space for, in terms of these canopies, to allow more space for students to gather in the inside or outside of class, out of the sun. There's seating along these areas, which you'll see in a bit. And so this is a look. Now, the connection over here is where students will come and approach the facility, cross the loop. There'll be a crosswalk here, and it's accessible. So we have set this building up at the same level as the walk at this location. Because we've done that, we've had to actually build out a very deep path. There's a lot of fill to bring this up and make it accessible, what's called an accessible route to the existing school. So it's not a very easy site. There's a lot of fill that has to be brought in to achieve that purpose. But what you'll have is an accessible route now that comes from the school into the mariachi, the main entry, and then goes on, as you'll see, into the Ag Center. So all of that has been brought up from a site that's sloping down, and it was an interesting design effort to make that happen. So this is a view of the building. Some other enhancements that we did in terms of architectural, in terms of the entry. The United South has this motif going with nice arches, and so we've replicated that in the new entry rather than have it flat as in Alexander. What that does, it lets us create some interesting things on the inside that you'll see. Also, the patterning of the brick, which will match as close as we can get it. This detailing and approach matches also what's on the existing school. But the other little feature that we feel is very cool is that the brick will be laid out in colors, which you'll see in the renderings, so to replicate a musical staff. And then we're using the logo in terms of the cleft here for the staff from the school. The school gave that to us, and that's going to be prominent on the outside of the building. A very kind of a fun feature, as you can see here. So this is the pathway from the existing school here all the way down to the Ag Science building. This is where students can hang out and have some social space. And then, of course, the identification of in terms of having pride in the program is carried on the face of the building. This is a view from the other direction as you're walking from the school over to, and you can see in the distance, the Ag Science. So where this site is is available to use, there's 10 to 12 feet of fall. And so we brought all of these up, so all of these buildings are accessible to the main school. Okay. And this is a view of the interior. We wanted to share that. As you can see, the arch becomes these interesting ceiling vaults on the inside. And the patterning on the floor here, I don't know if you can recognize what it is, but it will be evocative. It will be in the same pattern as the notes of the school song. And so these are actually bars that if you would dance along them, like in the movie Big, if anybody remembers that, Tom Hanks, you could actually dance to the music and step on the notes as you go down the hall. And the music, and kids in the music programs would certainly kind of enjoy that. Ag Science, again, welding shop, it's not just welding, it's carpentry, there's a science classroom, an outdoor project area, and some other enhancements that I want to show, the greenhouse and the animal pens. This is a view of the main building. It's very similar to what's over at Alexander, but it does have further enhancements that have been learned. Number one, we've increased the covered space around the building. It was requested that there be outdoor project area where you can actually get portable welding units, bring them out, we've got it set up so you can plug them in, and students can work not only inside, but they can work outside on projects. It also gives a place when they construct the projects for them to remain out of the rain. So this is a feature that was not at Alexander. And then the rest of it is very similar. You see the offices where teachers or instructors have visual control of both the classroom and the ag welding shop for safety. So it's an interesting building in itself. This is a view of that. Again, the same colors and approach and use of the patterning of the existing school. I think it'll be very attractive when it's done. And there's a 3D view of some additional seating. Okay. In addition, we talked about the greenhouse. This is a plan of that. So it comes fit out with work tables that come as part of it, and it has power and water and ventilation. So that's part of the complex, the Ag Center, and also the animal pens. This is very similar to what's at Alexander. Water, power, you know. So trailers will come up and drop. Could be sheep, or they could learn to shear sheep, or milk goats, or whatever is appropriate to the program in here. So that's an overview of the whole project. This is the proposed amount from Leindecker Construction in Texas, who submitted the bid. Just want to repeat what Karina had said, that there are contingencies that are part of this. These are standard contingency allowances for projects. These numbers are within this. They're not in addition to it. There's a utility allowance because of some questions about what's underground, so we have that in the project to start. And then we have done some testing of the fire flow, which is the pressure at the fire hydrant. It's been found that it's too low, and it may cause, if it is confirmed, it may cause some additional features such as domestic and fire water pumps, water tanks, piping, and all of that for both buildings. We've included an allowance for that. We have gotten a new test just as in the matter of the past week. Indicates that there may be some chance that we may not have to explore this amount in terms of use, that we may have to correct pressure. Maybe what was seen before was temporary, but the idea is that these amounts, if not expended, will return to the district. And that's why they're called allowances. So this is the project schedule, as I mentioned. It's anticipating a start date beginning of February, about 6 months for the phase 1 work. Substantial completion, phase 2 would then start, and then there'd be about 30 months overall, which is the 876 calendar days. That's a 30-month project. So that's what it takes when you start phasing a project like this. It does take a longer time period, and all of that needs to be accommodated in a contractor's bid in terms of the time. But it is, the phasing and length of this is necessary to complete the project. So that's our presentation of the project distance.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Any questions?
I did have a question. Will there be any buildings demolished in order to incorporate this?
There is a, see if I can go back. There's a small, so you can get to the aerial maybe. Yeah, so I think this is really more of a pavilion. So that's the only structure. This was an old, I think it was used in a science program. It was a pond, right? Yeah, and it's I wouldn't call it a full-fledged building, but it is a structure that would have to be removed.
And since there's an addition of a second band hall, what happens to the original band hall?
So the original band hall the program would move over. It would be up to the school if they had some other use for it. Right now, it's not part of the project to renovate that into any other use for the school.
As funds become available, we'll look at other uses for that. We've talked about some culinary arts opportunities or some other vocational programs, but certainly it'll be additional space for extra classrooms for the campus.
Thank you.
And Debbie, when does this contract have to be awarded?
I think the offer was for 30 days. And so with inflation and here comes the new year, the contractor mentioned that it's, you know, a lot of his suppliers won't hold their prices. And then we did get some correspondence about the price of steel going up. And so, you know, we are recommending as administration that this be awarded next week.
Do we have a deadline? Just the 30 days?
That's, you know, if it's gonna be, I mean, prices will just continue to go up. And staff did look with architects, you know, where could we, you know, what was not necessary. Everything here is necessary for a band program. The safety features in the Ag Science building that we need to bring up to par. That building, United South High School, was built in the mid-'80s. And so there's a lot of things that need to be brought up to date. We've done patchwork. You can see we did science labs. We did a new gym. We did a new athletic house. But really, you know, if we ever have the opportunity, we're going to have to revisit this campus because, you know, it was built almost 40 years ago. And just to bring it, you know, the technology up to par, safety features. But it's lasted. It has over almost 3,000 students in it right now, so it's lasted.
And for the record, we did present it to our bond oversight committee last week. The information, also the presentation was provided, and they also felt confident to recommend to the board approval of this project as well.
And this is from general fund or what fund?
It's gonna be the next item, but the majority of it will be from our bond program, our construction money.
Do you have enough?
And then we're going to recommend the board consider bringing in the difference from our general fund in the next item, Mr. Aguilar.
I certainly think that the students from United South deserve, you know, we've done renovations to Alexander, we've done renovations to United High School. This is an older campus. They need it. They need it. It's just a matter of affordability. I think that's more the issue than anything else, because the fact that it's a beautiful design and it's a beautiful architecture, it's a good plan. The students need it. They deserve it. They work hard. You know, they're just as deserving as any other students in our district. So it's just a matter of affordability, and that's something that I guess we'll talk about.
And if you recall, Mr. Montemar, the project Alexander, not only was the construction of the facility, but we had to buy land to be able to make that expansion. So it was a major commitment by this board to make sure that we provided that service.
Prices in 2013 are not the same as they are right now, and I think that's been a major issue in a lot of our projects that we've been encumbering increased costs. We're getting tagged with higher construction rates because of the increase in costs, and so you know, it's one of those issues that we're going to have to confront. But as long as we can afford it, I think we're good.
Yeah, we're seeing those cost increases in every project. We're doing work from Dallas down to 35 Court, and it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's unavoidable. I mean, cost of materials is going to go up every year. It just is. It's a beautiful presentation. Thank you so much for all the work that you all put into this. I do have some questions for administration, but I do appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for presenting today. Any more questions? Okay. E, resolution to use funds from the district's general fund balance for United South High School additions and renovations associated with CSP 22, 2023, United South High School additions and renovations.
Good evening.
Ms. Byers. I can hear you all the way here. I'm sorry. Okay.
Good evening, members of the board and audience. We're bringing this this action item for your consideration. And it's really to address the project that we just saw or discussed. And so the total cost of the project is 16.9 million. And right now in the bond program, we have allocated more than 10 million for this project. And so we do have, we would need about 6.8 million from general fund. So administration and getting with the finance area, we looked at our fund balance. And as you know, fund balance is kind of like your savings, where you don't really use it for operating day-to-day operations. You use it for that one-time need, emergency, just again, you know. So our recommendation would be to set aside fund balance. And you saw the period of time that it's going to take. We don't need these $7 million right now. You know, it'll probably be closer to July 2026. You saw the completion date. And so the 10 million we do have, we have sold all our bonds, so we do have the 10 million. But it's the 7 million. So what this resolution would do is it would dedicate part of our general fund balance or commit to finish this project. You said it, Mr. Montemayor, our students do deserve this. Our band programs are second to none. I mean, when you send 2 band programs to state competition, that is amazing. The band program here, I think there's, you know, probably represents more than 10% of their student population, which, I mean, just, it's a wonderful program. Do they deserve it? Yes. And so we feel that just dedicating $2 to $3 million every year, right? You know, we're going to dedicate the 7 million, but we think we can be getting $2 million from our Webb County school land money that we used actually to build our pool. I had mentioned to the bond oversight that there was some misinformation going around the public that we built our pool from bond money, and we did not. We heard our public back in 2007. They didn't think our kids, or that we didn't need a new aquatic center. Luckily, the board had a vision and awarded the natatorium that you see right now at the SAC. And we were able to build that with the Webb County School Labs. So now that the aquatic center is fully built, now that money we can rededicate to a project like this one. And again, it's for kids. And it's one time. It won't be, oh, we need 7 million every year. So that is our recommendation tonight.
Any questions?
So you're suggesting, Benavides, that we use what we get from the Webb County school land funds, that we deposit into our general fund and use that money, allocate that money, or earmark that money.
Earmark, exactly.
For the construction, or to supplement the construction of this site.
Yes, that is our recommendation.
Mr. Montemayor, if I may, just to let you know, we're wrapping up the 22-23 fiscal year, and we already have an excess amount of 1.9 million of county land funds that we will be designating for construction projects. So we already have 1.9 million of the 6.8 million.
Now, just
at
to
the end
be
of
clear,
this.
those land funds have a specific use. We're only allowed to use. Even though they get deposited into the general fund, they're only for brick and mortar projects, construction projects.
Yeah, that's correct. 45.105 of the Education Code does allow the board to authorize these type of funds for construction projects, things of that nature, correct.
And it's not a budgeted amount, so we do not recognize it until it's actually received.
And so we normally get anywhere on a yearly basis from 1.4.
1.8, 2 million,
various.
1.9.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
If oil and gas is great, we get a really good check, you know. So, yeah, because it depends on the revenue, but we've seen that.
And the recent solar panel agreements that we've been discussing over the last few months, that should enhance that property so that we can generate some additional revenue there as well.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Thank you. Can I just take a minute of your time?
Yes.
I'd like to commend our campuses, our teachers, I mean, I'm a numbers person. I look at scores, and I was, you know, extremely proud, you know, of what our instruction area has done. We keep on forgetting that these kids were in their homes, you know, 3 years ago with no direct face-to-face instruction. And to still see such amazing results, I'd like to commend our hardworking teachers and our students.
Thank you. Item F, boundary changes for the following middle schools: George Washington Middle School and Juan Roberto Ramirez Middle. You need to sit down. Middle school.
Yes.
Effective 2024-2025 school year.
So now for another wonderful project, we're going to be opening Juan Roberto Ramirez Middle School. We're recommending the proposed boundary changes. I know there's a lot of wording, so I'm sure the pictures that follow Sam. So what we're proposing right now?
I can set it up to where you can use the clicker.
Okay. Okay. So right now, this is the way the Washington Middle boundary is. It's the only middle school in Mines Road, and so it encompasses all of this area. There, just for, right there. There's the loop, Bob Bullock Loop. Here's Mines Road, and so the recommendation really is to use Bob Bullock Loop as a natural boundary between the Ramirez Middle School, which is in the Arquero area, and Washington Middle School, which is in, I think it's south of the Bob Bullock Road. I think those are the directions. What this will do eventually, if this passes, this is the way the boundaries would look. We did have a meeting with parents on Thursday evening at Washington Middle. We had staff in attendance from CNI, from band and fine arts, and from athletics to answer any questions the parents had. We had transportation that explained which routes would be in existence for Ramirez Middle, and which kids would be walkers. And, you know, even after the meeting, staff hung around to answer any questions that the parents had. So if we go with these proposed boundary changes, this is how the population would look. Currently, Washington Middle, one of our biggest middle schools, has 1,092 students. There's 20 portable classrooms out there that are being utilized for classrooms. So when we use that boundary, we think that Washington Middle will be at about 633 students, and that Ramirez Middle will start with 484. The way we see that area, we see probably more potential growth for Ramirez Middle because it's everything north of the loop.
So you're going to take people from the 7th and 8th grade that belong to Washington Middle and move them to Ramirez for their 8th grade year or their 7th grade year?
Yeah, right now it would be the 5th graders, the 6th and the 7th grade would be going to the new school. Yeah, it's this group of kids that we, right here. Now, 8th graders, or those that are going to be 8th graders,
7th and 8th graders are probably going to want to stay with their friends.
They can request a transfer. The principal
or siblings
is permitted to either approve or not approve, you know, based on certain factors. But yeah, we answered all those questions for the parents. They had questions about that too.
What projected, I mean, we're talking about analyzing our projections, but what projections do you have for Ramirez Middle?
Well, if this is the boundary that gets approved, we'll start with a little less than 500 kids. And really, these are the 500 students that are there right now. There hasn't been any growth incorporated into this. But we also feel that this is where we're seeing, this area is where we're seeing permits. So this is the school that will probably, it'll keep on, you know, growing. And that's where that demographer service will help also to let us understand about the permits that we're seeing, about any developments that we're seeing. And so Washington Middle, Washington Middle doesn't shrink completely. It still is a good size middle school. I think at United ISD, we're just used to having big schools. And this is probably more of the norm, 700 kids, 800 kids, and, we just kind of got used to having big schools. So this will allow all our kids to be inside a building, for one, and we explained how it has all the same amenities that Washington Middle has. It has a football field, it has a band hall, a good-sized cafeteria. So again, this middle school is one of our latest prototypes. So it looks exactly like Molina Middle and Perales Middle. So we had a rendition of the school there on display so that the parents could see it as well.
Yeah, Washington Middle right now is the largest middle school that we have. And it's been housing a little over 1,000 students, correct, every year.
Yes.
So it's amazing. It's amazing what administration has been able to do and connect with so many kids. So it's exciting to see positive news, positive expansion with the new middle school. Washington Middle is a little bit more landlocked, so you see more permits, more expansion, more home development when it comes north of that boundary for the new middle school. So that's the difference between the numbers that you see there to incorporate that increase. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. And thank you to the staff for staying after the meeting and answering the questions and, just supporting our parents.
That was a good meeting. Thank you.
Washington Middle, biggest?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's always on the other side, not on the fire.
We'll solve it on the football field.
We did. Did you see them? Yeah, that was on Washington Middle. Thank you. Item G, misinstructional days waiver for United Middle School.
Yes. Good evening, board members, administrators in charge, and members of the audience. For the record, I'm Thelma Martinez, the Director of Attendance, Admissions, Dropout Recovery, and Planning. So yes, we're very excited about the new middle school going up, and so were the kids. They were very, very excited. We had a lot of students in attendance, so they're really looking forward to the new middle school. But the reason I'm here right now is to recommend the Board of Trustees approve the missed instructional day waiver for United Middle School for the day of November the 3rd. As per the student attendance handbook, districts or campuses may request a waiver if a full instructional days are missed due to either inclement weather issues, health issues, safety-related issues, or other issues. Therefore, our district should be able to apply to the TA for the missed instructional day waiver. As you were informed, United Middle had to close down for instruction on November the 3rd due to plumbing issues. The facilities department worked very, very diligently starting that Thursday and throughout the weekend to make sure that instruction was able to resume on Monday. And I do want to take the time to thank Mr. Rangel and Mr. Peña, all the facility department, to make sure that our school was ready to open on Monday for instruction. Very good job. So.
We literally.
Now he's back. So thank you so much. It's very exciting that our students were ready to go on that day, and so was our building. Because of that, we are able to apply for that waiver, and our department does have the supporting documentation needed to be able to turn over to TA for this waiver, if the board approves it.
I was just going to make a comment again. Our facility staff were literally working 24/7 or 24 hours during that weekend to get everything set up for Monday. So they did a fantastic job. We did have a recognition for them a week ago, just to be able to thank them for their efforts. So.
Yes. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
Those problems necessarily all of it, right?
No, sir, but
Hopefully they are, but
we-
they're still,
Yeah, we do have a plan. We do have a plan to continue maintaining and making sure that it doesn't happen again.
Thank you. Item H, 2023-2024 District and Campus Improvement Plans.
Good evening, board members, administrators in charge. My name is Adriana Ramirez. I'm the Executive Director for Federal Programs. And this evening, I bring to you the District Improvement Plan, as well as all of the campus improvement plans. This is for the 23-24 school year. Just to let you know that these are working documents. As the district administrators and campus administrators monitor and evaluate their programs throughout the year, they may change, tweak some of the items in their plans, either in academics, budgets, and things like that. But for the most part, those are our plans right now, and upon approval, they will be posted on the district website and on the campus websites. And the links are there for your review.
Any questions? Thank you, Ms. Ramirez.
Thank you.
Item I, second and final reading of TASB update 122 local policies.
Good evening, Mr. Montemayor, Mrs. Molina, Mr. Aguilar, members of the audience, Rebecca Morales, Assistant Superintendent for Administration and Policies, one of the administrators in charge. I bring to you the second and final reading of our TASB update 122. We brought this to you for first reading last month. We've already reviewed it with management, reviewed it with some of our staff, and these are the recommendations that we're proposing to adopt if you approve next week. No changes from the last presentation.
Any questions? Thank you, Ms. Morales.
Thank you.
Item J, request for board members in reference use of board discretionary funds for various projects and campuses.
And Ms. Molina, Mr. Aguilar, Mr. Montemayor, members of the audience, at this time we have no additional requests to present. Any additional items will be presented at the board meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Garza.
motion to adjourn.
Thank you very much.
We are adjourned. It is 7:07 p.m.